What is up, MMA community? I just want to let you guys know that this podcast may have some graphic language that may not be suitable for all audiences. The listener discretion is advised. Welcome to episode 15 of the BP Mean Gene MMA show. As always, I'm BP, and that's Mean Gene. I gotta say, Mean Gene, it's nice to see your face again, to be doing this podcast. How are you?
Doing great, man. Yeah, we took a week off, so it was a nice little break. Get away from obviously we're watching, paying attention to MMA, but it was a nice little break to not figure out recording and uploading and all that shit. So
Yeah, I can say on my end, not doing the editing. Give my computer another 2 months of its life.
yeah, definitely have to figure that shit out this week.
Yeah, so we'll jump right in because we're 2 cards short on you guys. We're not gonna keep you short on it. So Robert Whittaker versus Darren Till. We're just gonna do two. I have 2 things that take away from that. Robert Whittaker is already booked to fight Jared Cannonier. What do you think of that booking, Mean Gene?
I think it's perfect. Timing wise too, they're scheduled to fight right around the same time that Adesanya is, or a month after, whatever it is, a few weeks after. I think timing wise it works out perfectly. And obviously the winner of that gets Adesanya. I think it's right. I think it was a great matchmaking by the UFC, because Whittaker, it's tough to give him, after being Darren Till, after Darren Till's only been in the division for 1 fight and beating Kevin Gastelum, who's now lost 3 or 4 in a row. So it's tough to just give him a title shot off of that. Plus, you want him to, you got to work on some things to get back into that title picture and to even have a chance at beating Adesanya. So I think it just helps give him even more time to just prepare. Obviously he has to get through Cannonier. I don't think he will, but he has to get through Cannonier and then fight Adesanya after that. I think it's perfect. I love the matchup timing. And it's only right. I like it over the Jack Hermanson. Some people would say maybe Jack Hermanson, but no, Cannonier was the number 1 contender. He was just hurt, tore his pec. He was a rightful number 1 contender, and now it just works out naturally that Robert Whittaker has a nice win like that, and now he fights Cannonier. Perfect number 1 contender matchup.
Yeah, and they were supposed to fight anyways before Till even stepped in there. But I love that. I love the booking that the UFC has going on right now, because Hermanson is looking to fight a top 5 after this as well. Hermanson's kind of that looming star there. And obviously the winner of Cannonier and Whittaker gets the title shot after this. So Adesanya has no time to rest if he wins or if Paulo Costa wins. Whoever gets that middleweight title has no time to rest. There's a slew of competitors, and they're all in line for that title shot.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so the other thing I took away, everyone took this away, Khamzat Chimaev, arguably the hottest prospect now after we thought his first performance was dominating. This one was even more dominant. 63-0 in total strikes, just absolutely dominated Rice McKee. What did you think of that? Do you think he's the hottest prospect? Do you think he's all hype? What do you think, Mean Gene?
No, I 100% think he's the highest prospect. I think dude is legit. But at the same time, we need to pump our brakes in the sense of, the talk of him fighting Kamaru Usman, not in the sense of that would be his next fight, but just saying hey, he can hang with Kamaru. Come on, man. Let's give him a guy that's, 20-15, ranked 20-15. If you're getting real ballsy, 15-13 type of matchup, I don't want to see that. I just want to see him 20-15. And give him that slow push. Give him maybe 1 or 2 of those type of fights, in the 20 to 15, 20 to 13 range. And then you can start pushing him up into the top 10 if he's that dominant against that level of competition. But the two guys he faced, I mean, they're in the UFC, but I don't think they are of that caliber where you can say like, hey, this is going to springboard them into a matchup against a top 10 guy. Let's slow a roll. We saw the missteps with Aaron Pico. I don't think the UFC had any missteps with Shahbazyan, but you see when he goes up against a tough top 10 guy in Derek Brunson, he loses. So
slow the roll a little bit. Yeah, I think I agree. I think stay in that 20 to 15 range. I know Ariel Helwani, I think, brought it up, that Gunnar Nelson fight. I'd be okay with seeing the Donald Cerrone fight as well. I don't think he'd take that fight, though. But yeah, doing that 20 to 15 is perfect. If not, like you said, if you're going to be ballsy as a UFC to just test them right away, you can put them in that top 15, but I don't think that top 15, there's no point for them to accept that fight either at this point. He has to prove himself in one more fight before he breaks in there.
Agreed.
But
yeah.
In terms of Rice McKee too, I almost feel terrible for him. It's like he fell victim of this guy who might be a champion at one point. I would like to see Rice McKee on the Contender Series. I know he had a lot of hype coming from him from Cage Warriors. He is a legit fighter. He looked terrible, of course. The guy was just a way better fighter than he was. I'd like to see Rice McKee build himself back up. My point is, I hope that doesn't end his UFC tenure forever.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not going to. No, he was another top prospect,
Yeah.
And he's just trying to get bodies in there, That's what they were trying to do. I'm sure he'll definitely get another fight, and it was short notice as well. So
yeah, super short notice. And they're trying to get him on 252. So we'll see. I'd love to see it. If this keeps smashing people like that.
Oh, Chimaev. I thought you were talking about the other guy, Reese.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Chimaev. Trying to get him on.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to see, the Gunnar Nelson's a good one. Rocco Martin, I know he just lost, so maybe that doesn't work. But Zaleski, just someone of that caliber, just a guy that's in between. Yeah. I wouldn't do it because Bilal Muhammad is on a nice little run, but that would be like the next fight I'd give him. If let him fight one like a Gunnar Nelson, Alex Oliveira, that type of guy that's outside of the top 15, like a 25 to 20, and then after that get like a Bilal Muhammad would be a nice step up after that. And then after that, then if he blows these guys out of the water, then obviously you're gonna match him up against someone in the top 10. But you just don't want to see the same thing that happened like to Johnny Walker and Aaron Pico. And those are really the two that I can think of off the top of my head. Because even Shahbazyan, I don't consider him in that same ilk. Like Shahbazyan, he took out Brad Tavares. And he was looking pretty good against Brunson as well in that first round. He won that first round. I have to go back and look at the judges' scorecards, but I know a lot, majority of the people that were scoring it, at least fans, MMA media, had Shahbazyan winning it. So it's not like he got destroyed by Brunson. It's just like, hey, Brunson's a little bit tougher, more of a game fighter at this point in time, and Shahbazyan needs to work on a couple things. So I don't want to see Chimaev fall into the Aaron Pico or the Johnny Walker, because Johnny Walker just like fell flat on his face after all that hype.
Yeah, I agree. I'm jump right in because you mentioned Brunson versus Shahbazyan. What did you think of that? Brunson's really starting to look good. He has that win over. He's 3 wins in a row: Theodoro, Heinisch, and then now Shahbazyan. He's starting to look legit again. I know he's been up and down. He's fought all the best. He's only lost to the best. But I like Brunson's little come up here. What do you think of this? What do you think of Shahbazyan's loss and what's next for him, and what do you think of Brunson?
No shame. Shahbazyan should have no shame in that loss, man. Like I said, he was winning that first round. He faced a more game opponent, a crafty vet that's been in there against the likes of Adesanya, Jacare, whoever else. I don't know. He has a really nice resume, Brunson. Anyway, so no shame in that loss. Just go back to the drawing board. He should still fight, like a top 10 guy, Shahbazyan, maybe a top 12 guy. I don't think you need to drop him lower than that. And then for Brunson, man, super impressed. He went down. I think he's working with Henry Hoof, and seems to be working well for him.
You're saying?
Huh?
Brunson?
Yeah, Brunson's working with Hoof.
Jackson.
He's with Jackson Wink. I don't believe he's with Jackson Wink.
That's what Tapology says.
He just moved camps. His last 3 camps. I think it's with Hoof.
It could be. Yeah, you could definitely be right. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, he's looked good, man. I'm impressed. He's beaten some. I'm trying to get his damn resume up. I know he beat Ian Heinisch. Who'd he beat?
He lost Adesanya, and then he beat Elias Theodoro. Then he beat Ian Heinisch, and then he beat Shahbazyan.
Yeah, so he's had a nice little run. I'd like to step up. Theodore, he's out of the UFC, but and then Ian Heinisch, he's been hot. He looked good in his last fight, and then and then against Shahbazyan, he holds that hype train. So yeah, man, I'm impressed by him, and I think just go ahead and give him a he obviously beat Shahbazyan. Just give him another top 10 guy. See if he's legit. But I've been impressed. He seems to be more disciplined and more cerebral now in his fights. Whereas before he's just rushing forward, trying to knock you out. And he started to do that a little bit to Shahbazyan in that first round. And then he gathered himself and realized, like, hey, man, this is what got you knocked out or gave you whatever it is, 3 or 4 losses, 3 losses in the last 4. So, like, hey, man, chill out, stick to the game plan. And,
not 3 losses in the last 4, but I know what you mean. 3 of his losses. 3 of his 4 losses, is that what you meant?
Oh, I thought before he went on the run, he lost 3 of 4 fights before, like.
Oh, so that's what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, he lost 3 or 4 on, yeah.
Yeah. And getting knocked out, So I was impressed. I'm happy to see that he's actually, changed camps and it's working for him. So we'll see if it continues. We'll see if it continues.
Yeah. So real quick, I had 2 things on that. So Derek Brunson, I just think what happened with Shahbazyan, what Shahbazyan needs to work on is Brunson just realized how much he can dominate Shahbazyan with his wrestling, and his wrestling just took over. And then he landed that nasty ground and pound, and that was it for Shahbazyan. Number 2 is, how would you feel about a Derek Brunson-Jack Hermansson fight? Obviously more to gain there for Brunson, but Hermansson's waiting for a guy. Brunson's on a run lately. I think that's the fight to make if you ask me, but what do you think?
Yeah, I like that fight 100%. I think that's a good matchup. Another good one could be the win. He could fight the winner of Uriah Hall and Romero, because they're about to fight on the 22nd of August. So I like that one as well. That's another potential matchup for Hermansson.
I agree. Yeah. Okay, so other thing too on that card, in the co-main event, we saw Jennifer Maia take on Joanne Calderwood. Jennifer Maia had that super impressive armbar victory and ultimately got the underdog victory in that. She's only 1 fight away from a title. What do you think of the fight? And do you think she fights Calvillo next, Chookagian? Does she have a chance at Shevchenko if she does get past Chookagian or Calvillo? What do you think of Maia?
Yeah, I think Maia, it's a big win. I think if she fights Shevchenko, she destroys her. I think she knocks Shevchenko out. Let's get real here. No, she definitely doesn't deserve that title fight. I don't know what Dana White was even talking about, saying that she's next in line. Or no, I think it's the same situation as the Robert Whittaker and the Cannonier. I mean, I just think Jennifer Maia needs to fight a number 1 contender, or be in a number 1 contender matchup. So Jennifer Maia versus Calvillo sounds just about right for me. I think Chikagan, because Chikagan just lost and lost in dominant fashion to Shevchenko, even though she looked good in her last fight, she looked great in her last fight, I should say. She still needs one more to then jump up. So I love Calvillo versus Jennifer Maia. I think this is a perfect matchup to make for Shevchenko.
I actually disagree. I think Calvillo should be fighting Shevchenko next, and then have Jennifer Maia fight Chookagian
Okay.
for that. Just so it would be essentially like you just mentioned with that Robert Whittaker Cannonier situation. Chookagian lost the title fight, got a nice win. I don't think she's really – I don't know if it'll be a number one contenders fight for both of them, but it'll definitely be for Maia. So, and Calvillo, she's done enough. She's ranked number 2 in the world right now. Give her that title shot against Shevchenko. Will she win? I highly doubt it, but I can't see any girl who's going to beat Shevchenko, but one day someone will, and we're going to all sound like idiots. So,
well, I mean, of course, at some point she's going to lose. I mean, I know she's lost to Amanda Nunes, but just in this current division, as champion of this division, I mean, these girls, it's with anything, it's like Ronda Rousey when she was dominating for a while. Obviously, women are going to,
catch up.
Yeah, catch up at some point. It's like the John Jones situation. The fighters are catching up with him. It always happens. So, yeah, I'm cool with that too. If you want to give Calvillo the title shot and then do Chookagian versus Maia, I'm fine with that. Don't forget about Lauren Murphy. I know she's nothing special, but I mean, I think she's railed off like 3 in a row or something, so she could fight. Actually, maybe they just do Calderwood versus Murphy. That's probably I actually like that fight.
Yeah, I like that as well.
And then is Andrade, and Andrade is moving up, and she's fighting Jessica Ai, so she's right there too. I'm not saying that she's going to beat Shevchenko, but if anyone in that division, I'd say Calvillo and Andrade have a chance against Shevchenko, and maybe Macy Barber, but Macy Barber's a long ways away right now.
Yeah, so I have one more talking point before we get into our picks and bets and how we did on the Whittaker Till card. Mainly, I want to talk to you about the drama surrounding the lightweight division. We have Khabib, who just through Ali, I should say. I don't know if it came out of his mouth, but through Ali, he says that when he wants to retire 30-0, like him and his dad planned, and that 30th fight might be against GSP, but right now he's getting Gaethje. Personally, I'll just say what I think about it. I think, and we'll talk more about this, but Tony Ferguson, Dustin Poirier is the fight to make. With Conor obviously not fighting this year, but if Tony Ferguson wins, I think then the 30th fight, or his 30th victory, if he's gonna get that victory, will be against Tony Ferguson. And if Tony Ferguson loses, Dustin Poirier won't get the title shot. They'll then do GSP. But if Tony Ferguson's on the table, the UFC is going to avoid that GSP fight.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you on that. You want my take on it?
Yeah, on the whole time. Go ahead.
I'm pretty much just going to copy what you said. I agree. I think Poirier needs to fight. Poirier needs to fight Ferguson, or Ferguson needs to fight Poirier. However you want to say it. I think it's a perfect matchup.
It's a fight.
Yeah, there's no other fight to make. I mean, in that division at all. Like that literally is the only fight you can make in that division that makes sense.
Conor not having any interest in fighting contenders.
Pardon me?
Especially with Conor not having any interest in fighting contenders.
Yeah, and with what Dana said too, that he's not going to be fighting 2020. So it just makes sense. And then you can toss those two. I love the idea of tossing them as the co-main event under the Khabib Justin Gaethje title fight, because just in case one of those guys falls out, then you have a natural replacement in Ferguson or Poirier. I would assume that would be Poirier first, since he's coming off a win. So that's how it works in that sense. And then if Ferguson gets through Poirier and Khabib gets through Gaethje, I'd say if as a bet man or whatever, the percentage, I would say the percentage would lean more towards Ferguson, I think, at that point versus GSP. Because I think it's just going to be tough to get the GSP thing done money-wise and weight-wise too. Where they're going to fight in the catchweight, what are they going to do in that sense? And then just with the potential of GSP winning the title and walking away like he did with the middleweight title. So And then obviously Khabib has always said, for my legacy, I need to fight Tony Ferguson. The question is, does the UFC have the stomach to book that match again for the sixth time? And does, Khabib and I know Ferguson would say, yeah, because he's trying to get the title, but does Khabib have the stomach to go through that shit again?
I think he wants that for his legacy. I truly think that does define a lot of his legacy if he can get that fight with Tony Ferguson.
Yeah. So I would love. I mean, that's the fight I want to see, because I feel like it means more than the GSP at this point. GSP's the bigger. Don't get me wrong. I mean, for Khabib, that's more of a statement win over GSP, 100%, especially after what GSP did in the middleweight division and beating Bisping. So, and GSP's in shape. It's not one of those situations where you have this old, decrepit, retired fighter coming back and trying to steal the shine or whatever. The GSP is legit still. I mean, he can come back and get some wins in the welterweight division. So I'm okay with Khabib fighting him if it ends up being, if Ferguson loses the Poirier, and then Khabib's like, I'm not going to fight Poirier again. I already beat him, so I'm going to go on the GSP. So I'm okay with that for sure. Either way they go. But I think it's set up. I don't think the UFC has anything to think about. I think the path is set. If they do Ferguson versus Poirier, I think it's easy for them.
Yeah, I agree. I can't see any other way that they go with it. I think Conor McGregor is going to fight Masvidal as soon as they can have fans. Personally, it would be a shame to me, money-wise, for the UFC to not do that fight. It would just put on so many freaking numbers. They can throw up the BMF title, whatever they want to do. It would just be a spectacular numbers. But that's the only thing I see for Conor McGregor. Maybe if Gaethje's nice enough to give him that title shot, but if he wins, but yeah, I don't know. I can't see it happening.
That he gives him Conor McGregor.
Yeah, I'm saying if Gaethje wins, I can see Khabib possibly retiring at that point, and then Gaethje giving Conor McGregor the title shot against him. Okay. That would be the only other fight that I see Conor McGregor having next, if it's not against Masvidal or possibly that trilogy with Nate Diaz. But yeah,
those are really the only two fights I see Conor getting.
Me too.
It's Masvidal or it's Nate.
Starting to become old news.
I've been saying it. I'm sure you'll put out that podcast at some point. The episode that we had on it. I mean, and we can even get back into it, not on this podcast, but in a different one if you want to add on to it. But yeah, man, I already said it. I put a post on Twitter that got a lot of engagement. Actually, it's a shit ton of engagement, and yeah, man, he's. I just think the UFC and he doesn't have the same pull that he once had with the UFC and with the fighters.
Yeah, I think the UFC is in reconstruction and they're doing well. The reconstruction is going very well after the Conor McGregor pay-per-view era. And now that they have the star in Masvidal, they recognize, hey, we can still do over 1 million pay-per-view buys without Conor McGregor being on the card.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I agree. I think Conor McGregor is still there is other issues with it, but we can get more into that on a different podcast. I still stand by my point that Conor McGregor there's a lot of hate towards him that I think is misinformed, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, let's go into how we did. I had a good week on that Whittaker Till card. Again, we missed our picks on the Brunson versus Shahbazyan card, but I was 31. I ended. Now my overall is I'm even. I'm 500 Mean Gene. I'm 31-31, and I was 9-6 on the card for my straight picks. In my betting, I did really well. I was up 2.97 units on the card, and that brings me to a total of being down 1.68. So I'm creeping back up. I'm almost in the black. As soon as I get in the black, maybe I'll have to buy like a knockoff gold chain. Just so I can commemorate. But Mean Gene, you are killing it. You were 11-4 that card. You're 42-20. You were up 0.93 units on the card. That Marina Rodriguez fight that you put 2 units on, that kills you. And I agree with that. That was a bullshit split decision. But either way, you were still up 0.93 units, and that brings you to up 2.39 units. And I'm not dyslexic. That's the actual number, 2.39 units on the total card, or on your total record.
Yeah, man.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, man, and then I think I've won, literally just that first card that when we started the podcast with the bets, whatever one that was, I don't remember anymore. But ever since that card, I've literally won on every card since then. It's like 5 or 6 cards I've won on. Nothing crazy, but I mean, I'm in the black, putting out good betting content, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with myself, to be honest with you. So, and this card definitely offers some betting opportunities as well. So,
and we'll get right into that. So on this card, we have our picks, and because we just talked, also you guys don't want to hear it, so we're not going to be breaking down every fight. We're just going to go through. I'll say who I picked in the fight. Mean Gene will say who he picked. When we get to the main card, or if we find a fight we might want to break down, we'll throw something in there. But we're not going to pull a. We're not going to go all. Who's the guy? Any of the people you can think of who break down fights. Dan Tom, Robin Black. We're not doing any of that on you. We're just gonna stick in our layman bubble here and just make our picks. So with that being said, in the first fight, we got Irwin Rivera versus Ali Al-Kaisi, or Kaisi, I think is how you pronounce it. I got Irwin Rivera. Who do you got, Gene?
I got Rivera as well.
Okay. In the next fight, we got Yusuf Zalal versus Peter Barrett. Who do you got, Mean Gene?
I got Zalal for sure. I mean, yeah, Zalal is like one of the top prospects in the UFC right now. So I think he wins easily. But that line is pretty crazy, though. I think it's almost 500. It's like 450 or 460 or some shit.
Yeah,
so
I got it at minus 410 right now from William Hill, but could be outdated odds. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Either way, we got speaking of odds, Irwin Rivera's minus 200. Ali Al-Kasi is plus 170, and then Yusuf Zalal's minus 410. Peter Barrett is plus 330. I have Yusuf Zalal as well, Mean Gene. Going into the next fight, we got Gavin Tucker at minus 145 versus Justin James at plus 125. I got Justin James as that underdog in this fight. I think I'm not putting any money on him, but that might be a little. All the values on Justin James, in my opinion. Who do you got, Mean Gene?
I got James. I'm gonna ride this little this little train. He came in on short notice in his last fight against Frank Camacho, knocked him out in the first round. He's good with kicks, good grappler too, and he's just tough. Like that's the one thing about this guy. He's whether you bet on him or not, or you room for whatever, he's gonna go out there and fight for you. He's gonna fight for your money, and yeah, man, I got James. I'm gonna go with the underdog as well in this one.
Okay, and then in the next fight we got Wellington Turman at minus 155 versus Andrew Sanchez at plus 135. I got Turman. Who do you got, Mean Gene?
Man, this one's tough. I got Turman too. I can easily see Sanchez winning this fight. He is really good wrestling and grappling. The only issue with him is, man, he gasses. So that's why I'm not going to side with him. I'm going to go with Turman to be on the feet. And, ultimately I think Sanchez gasses.
Okay. I'll be honest. I didn't really know these two that much. So I'm not going to try to get cute with it. I'll just go with Turman. He's the favorite in this fight. So, in the next fight, we got Nasrat Haqparast, huge prospect, versus Alex Munoz. Haqparast is minus 235 and Munoz is plus 95. I got Haqparast. Who do you got in this fight, Mean Gene?
Same thing. Like you said, he's one of the top prospects in the UFC. Slipped up in his last fight against Drew Dober, who was also on a crazy hot streak. I know Dober lost his last fight. as well, but he's looked good. He's kind of turned things around over there with what's his face over in Denver, Justin Gaethje's coach, Whitman. There's no shame in that loss by Hawk Pras, but I got Hawk Pras for sure in this one.
Yep, and then next fight we have Kevin Holland at minus 450 versus Joe Quinn, I think is how you pronounce it, Buckley, at plus 130 or plus 350. I don't know where I got 130 from, but I got Kevin Holland. Who do you got in this, Gene? I think Kevin Holland, just so I can throw in and not just sounding like I'm throwing out picks. I think Kevin Holland just kind of dominates him and uses his wrestling to take out Buckley.
Agreed. Going through this card right now, I'm not going to put it on. I don't think I'll put it as an official play on this podcast, but I'm very tempted. I'll give it out at the end, but I'm very tempted to take a lot of these big favorites in just a parlay, just on whatever, a fun little parlay. No one should jump off the edge with me or off the cliff with me on it. But like some of these, like Kevin Holland should win for sure. Hawk Pras should win for sure. Zalal should win for sure. So that's 3 already. I know it's not smart to be making those type of bets, but it's super enticing on a card like this. But anyways, I got Kevin Holland. I mean, I think he wins for sure.
All right, so this one I know you were going back and forth, but we got Laureano Staropoli or Staropoli.
Oh, you're right, Staropoli. You're right.
Staropoli at minus 135 versus Tim Means at plus 115. I got Staropoli myself. Who do you got, Mean Gene?
I got Staropoli too. I literally was going back and forth before we started the show. I was switching this from Means to Staropoli. The reason why it's tough is because Means has the height and reach advantage, and the reach advantage is like 3.5 inches or something, maybe even 4. And he's such a game fighter. He's tough, but ultimately, Staropoli is an excellent striker on the feet. Throws, a vast array of strikes on the feet. And his recent loss was to Salikov, and man, there's no shame in losing to Salikov. Man, Salikov is an up and comer in the UFC right now. He won his last fight against Dos Santos, Alexica Dos Santos, whatever the hell his name is. So I'm gonna go with Staropoli, man. I'm gonna say he gets it done on the feet. But if Tim Means wins, it's literally a coin flip for me. I think the line should be a little bit closer. I think Staropoli should maybe be at minus 130 versus I think he's like 140 right now, 145. But Staropoli. I'm sitting here rambling on. I got Staropoli.
Oh, you're good. It gave me time to calculate your bets in the total units bet and then total possible payout because I hadn't done that before the show. But either way, in the next fight, we got Beneil Dariush at minus 160 versus Scott Holtzman at plus 140. I definitely got Beneil Dariush myself, and I'll be talking about a bet later. But I like him a lot. I think he's the vet at the middleweight division, and he's looking really good. Or
yeah,
am I wrong? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Finish what you were saying.
No, I was cutting you off. I'm right with you on this one. Beneil, this is my favorite pick of the card. Beneil Dariush. I'm going to bet on him. And yeah, man, Scott Holtzman is super game. This is not going to be an easy fight at all for Beneil Dariush. It really won't. He's coming in. He's won 5 of 6. And Dariush, man, is just he's put it together. It's crazy. That knockout over Close in his last fight was great. He beat Drew Dober. That looks like a even better win now with the way that Drew Dober's been performing. He beat Frank Camacho. Frank Camacho is always tough. I got Beneil, man. He can do everything: striking, grappling, submission. So I'm looking for him to get it done.
I agree, and I just want to correct myself. I said middleweight. I'm an idiot. It's lightweight. I knew he's lightweight. I was thinking middleweight because we were just talking about Brunson. But yeah, I agree. Beneil Dariush for sure should win this fight. And that line's a little bit closer than I thought it would be, and that's why I'm definitely throwing on a bet there. In the next fight, we got Yana Kunitskaya versus Ulija. I think is how you pronounce it. Ulija. Either
Yeah.
way, Solyarenko. And Kunitskaya. Jesus, dude. They have like two people fighting with the most impossible names. Kunitskaya at minus 230 versus Stolyarenko at plus 195. I got Kunitskaya in this fight. She's looked really good lately, and I see why she's minus 230. Who do you got in this fight, Mean Gene?
Kaya as well. I got her. Her only losses are to Aspen Ladd. She lost her last one to Aspen Ladd. And then, Chris Cyborg before that. I feel like the competition, that's the reason why I'm taking her. Aspen Ladd, Renault, Landsberg, and Cyborg. And, yeah, man, I have nothing really else to say besides that. I think she's the better fighter. She's fought tougher opponents, and I think she'll get it done.
Okay. Yeah, I think I agree with you. In the next fight, we got Maki Pitolo at
Fucking tired.
Yeah, I'm messing this up. Southern wrong order. Okay, Darren Stewart at minus 180 versus Maki Pitolo at plus 160. I'm going with the underdog in this. And actually, the next three fights, I got Maki Pitolo. I like him at that plus 160. He doesn't have as high of a ranking, obviously, as Darren Stewart, which is why Darren Stewart's the favorite in this and why he's in the right corner. But I think that Pitolo, this is a perfect fight for him to kind of rise up in the UFC. He's had a few fights in the UFC. Darren Stewart's a great guy for him to fight to start making his rise, and he's about 2 fights away from fighting in that top 15 if he can win this fight. So, who do you got in this fight, Mean Gene?
I'm gonna go on the other side of this. I'm gonna go with Darren Stewart. I do think this is a pretty close fight, given the fact that Pitolo has nasty power, so he could easily put Darren Stewart's lights out. But I mean, Darren Stewart, man, is super heavy puncher. He's got a good chin, so I think he can take Pitolo's barrages. And I think ultimately Darren Stewart ends up knocking Pitolo out. I'm personally not going to jump on the Darren Stewart by KO, but it's very enticing. I'll tell you that. Maybe it's a last second, thing for me, like right before the fight or something. Maybe I jump on Stewart for a KO, but I think he gets it done by knockout. If he's gonna win, I feel like it's gonna be by knockout because I think these guys are just gonna be slugging it out. And I wouldn't be surprised if Pitolo ends up somehow, catching Stewart. But I'm gonna go with the heavier puncher. And the stronger guy as well. I feel like he'll be able to get Pitolo up against the cage and kind of control him in that sense. If he does get rocked or if he needs to not take a break, but
take a breather.
Yeah, take a breather. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. I'm tired as fuck, man. I know we always say this because we do the podcast late at night.
Slogan: the BP Mean Gene Show. I'm tired as fuck.
Yeah, seriously, that's like our fucking our motto or moniker, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I literally ate ice cream before this, so I'd have some sugar in me, and I'm up. I'm ready for this. And I'm ready for Chris Weidman to make his return and lose against Omari Akhmedov. And Chris Weidman's coming in at minus 120. He's fighting Omari Akhmedov at plus 100. As I just mentioned, I got Omari Akhmedov in this. I almost went with Chris Weidman, but I just can't see it happening. And like you told me, Chris Weidman had just mentioned to James Lynch that this weight cut's a little bit hard for him. Obviously, his last fight was at light heavyweight, so now he's coming back down to middleweight. Yeah, I just don't see him getting a. I don't see him winning this fight. I think his career's on the runoff. It's on the end. Who do you got in this fight, Mean Gene?
I got Akhmedov as well. And for a lot of things, what?
You said Akhmedov.
What? How would you pronounce it? What did I say? Akhmedov?
Yeah. Akhmedov. Nurmagomedov.
Say it again?
No, it sounded like Nurmagomedov. No, it's Akhmedov.
Oh, Akhmedov. All right, my bad on the pronunciation.
You're
Uh,
good.
anyways, I got him.
You got me off, caught me off guard on that. I wasn't ready for that butchering.
Now I'm all, now I'm all self-conscious. Akhmedov. Akhmedov. Anyways, damn it. I got Omari is what I'll say. Um, but no, I got Omari. Um, Chris Weidman, what is it? Five or six losses. Those five losses are all by finishes as well, all getting knocked out. Granted, one of them was at light heavyweight, but there was a reason why he moved up to light heavyweight. It was because he was having a tough cut at this age. Obviously, as you get older, those weight cuts are tougher. He's a big middleweight, and he tried to get up to the light heavyweight to ease that weight cutting issue that he was having towards the end of his career. Not issue like he was missing weight, but just it got tougher for him to make weight, and so that's why he went up. Now he's dropping back down, and like I said, James Lynch had reported, or had said, I should say, that Chris Weidman said to him that he was having kind of a tough weight cut. So that's a big factor for me, especially since the guy's got knocked out 5 of his last 6 fights, and anytime you're having weight cutting issues, that often affects the brain. And Omari, I would just say he is a very good, well-rounded fighter. I think he's very fluid on the feet, and I think he's good enough on the ground too, in the sense of I think he'll be able to stuff Weidman's takedowns and keep the fight standing up. And if it's on the feet, I think he wins. If Weidman's able to take him down, Weidman, he's strong. Like I said, he's strong. He's big for a middleweight, so he might be able to control him a little bit. Lay on him, steal around. So I would definitely worry in that sense. But I'm gonna go with Omari Makhedov. Say it again.
Akhmedov.
Yeah, Akhmedov. I'm going with him in this, and I'm going to end up betting on him too. I think this is great value. I think I'll leave this analysis at the end. I won't say this part. I'll wait to the end when we.
And I was just gonna say, what's funny is like someone's gonna tell us in our first listener mail ever is like, no, actually BP was pronouncing it wrong. Mean Gene was right to listen. That's what's gonna end up happening.
What did I say, Akhmedov?
I said you said Akhmed, or I don't even remember. You said like
I thought it was Akhmedov. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I got him. let's
you got Madoff.
Akhmedov, yeah.
So in the next fight, the main event, we got Derek Lewis at -215 versus Alexei Oleinik at +185. This to me, I think is going to surprise a lot of people. I think it's going to be a lot like Verdum versus Gustafsson, where that quick submission is grabbed. I know Derek Lewis has been good at preventing submissions before. He's got good wrestling on top. He's got good top wrestling. He's not the best at takedown defense, at least against Daniel Cormier, as we saw, but in general. But Derek Lewis, he has that knockout power for sure. Dude can knock out a mule. But I feel like Alexei Oleinik showed great striking in his last fight against Verdum. And recently he's looked really freaking good. So I got Oleinik. I think he's going to grab that sub early on Derek Lewis. And I like that, and we'll mention this in the betting, which is coming up right after this, but I like that +185, and that's low. That's low because it was really high earlier this week.
Well, it's even lower now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's even lower. Yeah.
160s now.
Yeah. So
they're dropping. You're seeing that.
Yeah. The numbers I got is +185. So either way, it's dropping even more. Yeah. So go with that +185.
That means the money's coming in on your guy.
Yeah, exactly. I think Alexei Oleinik is the pick in this. I think the sharpshooters are going in for a reason on him.
All right, so this is another tough one. This is like the Means versus Staropoli. I was going back and forth, and when this fight first got announced, I saw the odds, I'm kicking myself now for not jumping on Oleinik because he was like plus 260, 280, or 250, 260. And now, as we just said, it's down to like 160, 170. And I was going back and forth on this fight, and it's a coin flip for me. I'll just break down the analysis first before I give the pick. Derek Lewis, crazy knockout power, and Oleinik gets knocked out. I mean, if you land on Oleinik, he's out. He's going out. It's like he really doesn't have a chin. If he catches a big, I'm saying with big, heavy punchers, and Derek Lewis has that. Derek Lewis comes back in a lot of his fights where he's losing, he's getting taken down, things of that nature, and all it takes is one punch from him, and he's got the victory. His hand's getting raised. As for Oleinik, man, you already know Derek Lewis. You guys already said about the DC, and like I just said, in these fights that he's coming back and winning, man, he's getting dominated on the ground, and a lot of that has to do with his wrestling skills aren't that good, and number two is he gasses. That's a big factor. I think that's the number one factor when it comes to Derek Lewis and why he loses fights, or why a lot of his fights are super close, and why he has to come back and knock these guys out in the third, is because of his gas take. And that has it's just it's like a laundry. It's a domino effect. He had issues with his back and his knee. Well, obviously that's going to not help you train and get your cardio up. So it seems like he got that fixed. And but anyways, to finish up with the Oleinik, yeah, if he gets him down on the ground, it's over with. I feel like Oleinik if Derek Lewis doesn't get up, obviously he's big and strong, so he can get up. I don't think Oleinik will be able to hold him down. But if Oleinik does get him down, and obviously he can submit him. I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, once it's on the ground, it's Oleinik's game. But ultimately, man, I had to switch my pick. I'm going to go with Derek Lewis. I do think that I think he's worked on that cardio. His back seems to be feeling pretty good. His knee, I've heard a couple interviews this week from him. He says that knee was a big issue for his back, because he was compensating. So, and he got that fixed a year ago. And looks like, from what I've seen in videos with training and in interview, video interviews as well, like he's slimmed down, man. He looks like he's in shape, and he's taking this seriously. So I'm going to go with Derek Lewis. I think he's going to do it by KO. I think he's going to knock him out. And I think that line's like minus 140. So it's telling you what the odds makers think, in that fight. That he's going to get KO, and at 140, it's better taking him at a KO at 140 versus 200. But the last thing is 100%. All the value is on Oleinik, and the reason why all the money's on Oleinik is because Derek Lewis. You saw him against Latifi. I don't really think he got a unanimous decision. That shit should have been split. I'm not saying Latifi won, but it wasn't clear cut that 100% should have been split in that fight.
Smith, right? It should have been a split decision. What are you talking about? That's not how it's scored.
No, I'm saying that Latifi won at least one of those rounds is what I'm saying, and they gave Derek Lewis a unanimous decision.
That doesn't make it a split decision.
No, I'm saying I don't think any of the here. I'm gonna pull it up. I don't think any of the judges gave it to. I didn't explain. No, I know what you're saying. I didn't explain it the right way. What I'm saying is I don't think judges
change the word. Yeah, it's split decision.
I know what it means. I'm just saying I'm pretty sure that they did not give Latifi a round is all I'm saying. They gave Derek Lewis all three rounds like 30-27 is what I'm saying.
You just misspoke because you said specifically, yeah.
Yeah.
The reference to Trent Ryan-Smith is that a few weeks ago, the first tweet he ever had that wasn't bashing the UFC was about a fight, and he said, this one, I have a split decision on this fight for sure. It's like, what does that even mean? You have a split decision on this fight. Either you scored it for that guy or the other guy.
What was it, Lewis Latifi? Let me just see if I was right on that.
Yeah, well, I believe Derek Lewis fought Latifi.
I know he did. I'm just Latifi. I just want to see.
So either way, I got.
Go ahead.
I know I get what you're saying, but Derek Lewis versus Alexei Oleinik. I definitely got Oleinik because I think, like I mentioned before, Derek Lewis has that knockout power. That cardio is good, but I don't think the cardio plays a big factor in this. I think either Derek Lewis gets that knockout early or Alexei Oleinik gets that submission early. All the odd makers are saying this fight's below 2.5 rounds.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's right. Rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
No, so I was wrong. They gave the second to Latifi. They did. So it was a 29-28. It wasn't 30-27. So I was wrong in that sense. But maybe the third round I was watching, it was a close round, or maybe it was the first. I don't know. It doesn't matter. All I know is like he didn't easily beat him. I know it was a unanimous decision.
I do remember that. Yeah,
it was a close fight, and some people had him losing in the sense of in the media. I mean, what does the media know ultimately? What do I know? But all I'm saying is like Derek Lewis. It's not like he's out here beating the top guys, like legitimately running through the top guys in the heavyweight division. So I can easily see Oleinik winning, and honestly, that's the best bet. And I wish I would have jumped on it at 250, because I probably would have came back then and maybe taken Lewis for the KO to kind of hedge it. But I don't think you're wrong in taking Oleinik. I don't think you're crazy in taking Oleinik, I should say. And like I just said now, and you already know before the podcast, I was going back and forth on what's my official pick, but I'm just going to go with Lewis, man. I'm going to stick to what I've seen from him, what I've heard from him, and I believe him with his knee. I believe him with his back. I believe him what I'm seeing, visually with his body, and it all falls back on that KO power. I think he's going to end up, and that's what I'm saying. You go back and look at Oleinik's losses; it's by KO. I mean, Walt Harris. I'll just pull up. I mean, Walt Harris.
Yeah.
Overeem. Yeah, there's just a long list. Curtis Blades.
Yeah, I was surprised. I didn't know Oleinik has lost to Chael Sonnen back in Bodog. I was surprised to see that.
He's not a big heavyweight.
No, yeah, he used to fight lower, but yeah, I agree. I think this fight is kind of. I understand why Derek Lewis is minus 215. I just really feel confident in that Oleinik pick. But I agree. I'm a Derek Lewis fan, so I'm really happy to see that he is taking it seriously. You can see he's trimming. He looks a lot more in shape. He looks more slim for the division. And I would like to see Derek Lewis kind of go on another run again, or continue his run after that Cormier loss. But yeah, I just don't see him winning this fight. I think Oleinik has the edge in this. And like you said, all the value is on Oleinik.
Yeah, the money's coming in on Oleinik.
So speaking of money, let's jump right into the betting the betting podcast. This whole thing is a podcast, but let's jump into the betting section. I can't speak right now. So I'll just go over my bets, and then me and Gene, if you go over your bets, and then we can close off the show. Right now I got, as you already know, I mentioned it, I got Alexei Oleinik at plus 185. I'm putting 1 unit on him. But mainly, that's my hedged bet. I am going Alexei Oleinik by submission at plus 250, and I'm putting 1 unit on that. I really feel confident in that, and I think if Oleinik does win, it's going to be by submission. But I'll hedge it a little bit and do that, just take him straight play, just in case. So that way I don't lose too much on that. If he wins but doesn't win by submission.
And real quick, all I'll say is we gotta. I know this is like breaking the fourth wall or whatever, but I mean we gotta definitely update the odds, because those William Hill odds that you have are old. Because there's no 180. There's no 180s. They're all 160s, 165. All that. Just in general, I'm saying moving forward.
Yeah. Worry about that later, but yeah, I was worried. I just got him off of CBS Sports. I don't know when they updated it, so.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not too worried either way. People look at this if he's at plus 160, whatever, I'm still taking that. The plus 250 I got off of Bet Online. That's updated as of an hour ago for the Alexei Oleinik by submission. But yeah, either way, I agree with you, because it is a little bit, these numbers are off as to what's current. But either way, these picks don't change for me, unless it's ridiculous. But just use your best judgment. You're putting your money down. So I also have Beneil Dariush I'm putting 1.6 units on that because he's at minus 160. I really feel confident in him over Scott Holtzman. And that's it for my picks. So who do you got, Mean Gene?
So I got Akhmedov, or Akhmedov, I should say. Akhmedov. I got him for 1 unit. I really want to go 2 units. I'm gonna stick to just 1 unit on that one though. Maybe I'll bump it up myself personally, but Akhmedov, I got 1 unit on him over Weidman. I just, to recap, I just think Weidman is a little washed. I think the reason why he's at minus 140 is fan favorite. He's fan favorite, former middleweight champ. It's the same thing with like Luke Rockhold moving up. They still have that name value, and with the fans and with the casuals and with the public. So I think that's why he is the favorite. And
Yeah.
no one knows Akhmedov. I mean, most people don't. You gotta be a diehard to really know who he is and how good he is. So I'm going with Akhmedov, man. I think, yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if Chris Weidman somehow just grinds it out and just lays on this dude. But if they stand up at all, I think Weidman's getting knocked out. So I'm going Akhmedov 1 unit. The other one is I'm gonna follow you off the cliff with Dariush as well, because I do think Scott Holtzman is gonna be a legit threat to beat Dariush, but I just think Dariush is better. I think Holtzman will show some flashes in that fight, but I got Dariush for sure. 2 units on him at whatever you said, minus 160, 170. And that's it for me. The extra potential ones that I might get on personally, and then we'll just post on Twitter if need be, is I do like Staropoli. I think the line's low enough against Tim Means, even though it's a close fight. I don't know. That's why I'm staying away from it. I'm not putting this as my official, because really I think the better bet might be Tim Means in that, but Staropoli is pretty low at 140, even though it should be lower. And that's it. I mean, maybe I'll get into a parlay. Like I said, the parlay for me would end up being would be Holland, Hakpras, and Zala would be the 3 that I would potentially do too. So just throwing that out there. Just want to let you guys know, where my mind is, or what I'm thinking as well. But just the official picks: Akhmedov 1 unit and Dariush 2 units.
Okay, definitely. And then that'll bring, for my picks, I have Alexei Oleinik by submission at plus 250, 1 unit on that. I got Beneil Dariush minus 160, 1.6 units on that. Alexei Oleinik plus 185, 1 unit on that. And then that brings my total units bet 3.6 units, and my total possible payout is 5.35 units. And then Mean Gene, as he just said, Beneil Dariush at minus 160, 2 units. And then Omari Akhmedov at plus 100 with 1 unit on that. That puts him at 3 total units bet and total possible payout of 2.25. And I just realized, Mean Gene, that we never went over our picks. So if you want to really quickly go through each pick you had, and then I'll go through mine, and then that should cap off the show. We'll just thank our sponsors.
Bottom to top, I got Rivera, Zala, Janes, Turman, Hakpras, Staropoli, Holland, Dariush, Kunitskaya, Stewart, Akhmedov, and Lewis.
Okay, and then for me, I got Erwin Rivera, Yusuf Zalal, Justin James, Wellington Turman, Nasrat Hakparas, Kevin Holland, Laureano Staropoli, Beneil Dariush, Yana Kunitskaya, Maki Pitolo, Omari Akhmedov, and Alexei Oleinik. And that's it. With that being said, do you have anything else you want to talk about Mean Gene? It's been 2 weeks almost, I think, at this point.
Yeah. Trying to think what's kind of happened over the past couple weeks. I was just encouraged by Tony Ferguson in his interview with Ariel Helwani, and um, everything that he said. I thought he said the right thing. It seems like he's, that break did him well, and he's ready to get back out there and take a fight. And hopefully, it is against Dustin Poirier. I think it will be against him, but I'm excited to see him get back in the cage. Seems like he's, that loss did some positive things for him. It opened his eyes to where he's at in his career, considering he's like 36, 34, 36 years old. So shit, he might even be 38 actually. He's one of those even numbers, 36 or 38. Yeah, I was impressed by that interview, and just I'm happy to see. I'm happy where he's at, where his mind's at, and I'm trying to think what else. I mean,
Yeah.
30 what?
36.
36, okay. And then the counter, obviously, that was, just hearing Dana White just come out and say what he said. I thought he would continue to slow play it and just kind of avoid it, but he made a bold statement and said that Connor's not fighting in 2020. So that, that was interesting. And then what was interesting about it was his response to the Pacquiao, question, and just saying, I don't give a shit about that. So, I feel like if he was on good terms, I feel like if they were on good terms, it might have been a softer, like, no, I don't give a shit type of thing. But the way he came out was just like, fuck that. I'm not backing that. Because at the end of the day, we all know that UFC controls his rights. So there will be no Pacquiao fight unless Dana White says so, or unless Conor retires, like truly retires. So I thought that was interesting. Happy to see Khabib, like that's booked. I was worried about, when he wasn't fighting in September, I was worried, is it going to be in December or at all this year? So I'm happy to see that he's ready to go, and then the last thing I'll say, and I'll let you go on a little tangent, is obviously, and we'll preview this next week, but I'm really excited for the trilogy between Stipe and Cormier.
Me too.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I don't really got much to say. I know there was that everyone was freaking out that Daniel Cormier might be anti-Semitic. It's kind of ridiculous. Everyone's so quick to jump on things. But he brushed that off immediately. He said like 8 people have access to his Twitter. He doesn't remember liking it. I believe him. I think people like we're in such a polarized climate that people just want to jump on anything that can get someone that they disagree with, that can get someone in trouble. And we saw that toxic Twitter culture happen. Luckily, I think it just like water on a duck with DC on that. Just flew right off. It's a joke. I mean, the dude does a podcast with a Jew in Ariel Helwani. He's not anti-Semitic. His other best friend is Jewish as well. That was the only thing that I think irked me this week or this past 2 weeks that really bothered me, is like people were immediately jumping on that and calling for his cancellation essentially. And, yeah. But other than that, that's the only issue I had. Send us some questions. One thing I do want to talk about is Mean Gene has some stories in his old day. And I'm sure I have some stories as well. So I'd love to add those to the podcast. I'll probably put a survey out from our podcast. Send us an email for once. Send us a Twitter DM. Let us know what you guys think. Should we add the stories in there? Is the podcast way too damn long to begin with, so we shouldn't add anything? What do you guys think? But I think you'd be thoroughly entertained with some of the stories Mean Gene can come up with. Not even come up with, that he lived through.
Yeah, well, let's see what they say.
Other than that, I think that's it for this show, Mean Gene. So I'm going to thank our sponsors real quick. Thank you to Ty Booman, who did this beautiful artwork right behind my head, which is our logo. And you can go follow him at Cloud City Cartel on Instagram. Go give us that listener mail that I mentioned. That is bpmgmma@gmail.com. Or you can follow us at the BP and Mean Gene. Just look us up on Twitter. I don't remember what the hell the fucking Twitter handle is, but I'm not looking for it right now. You guys know who we are because you probably found us from Twitter. Other than that, thank you to Alex Weishart, who does the music that'll play after I speak, and it played before I started speaking at the beginning of the show. Go follow him at Alohi on SoundCloud. Thank you to Fringe Faction for sponsoring us as always. Go subscribe to them on YouTube. Thank you to Anchor.fm for being the platform, not the platform, for being the platform that we release this podcast audio on. And I think that is it for everyone that we can thank.
I got
shout out, Mean Gene.
I have nothing else. I mean, you can check out KGB Profits for just general sports. Well, not in general, MMA's in there too, but they're a good follow. KGB Profits on Twitter. They're a good follow. I mean, other than that, I don't have anything else. I'm tired of shit, as I always am at the end of these fucking podcasts, because we do them so late at night and shit into the morning a lot of times.
We need Red Bull. If you're listening, give us a sponsorship so Mean Gene can stay awake.
Yeah. I probably won't even touch that shit. I don't even like that.
See, now we have no chance at that. Thank you, Mean Gene. Now they're gonna watch this. They're like, now we're not fucking sponsoring. He just openly admitted to not liking it. Monster Energy, if you're out there, can you give us a special?
Yeah, I fuck with Monster. No. Yeah, back in my day, I used to drink Red Bull and vodkas, but
that's why.
I'm not gonna get into that. That's one of those stories that we can talk about in the future.
Yeah, I remember walking downstairs when I was little, and you having Red Bull, so told me to drink this as you would sip it.
Yeah,
I'm good with it.
It's not good for you. But anyways, let's wrap this thing up.
All right. That's it. We don't have any sponsors to thank because we already did. So, peace.
Peace.